Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K rock and metal channel, and today we're checking out our old band called Flyleaf. They've been around, well, they were around for a very long time during the new metal
I just don't remember
stage.
that.
Never heard it.
I remember Cycle Fly.
They were like I think they were probably early 2000s. So they were in the kind of when Evanescence first kicked off with female. So they were a female-fronted band, kicked off around that sort of time. Did a sort of kind of. There was this whole period where Paramore and Flyleaf were the big female-fronted bands at the time, and then Flyleaf kind of disappeared.
So they're from Texas. The band is charted on mainstream rock, Christian pop, and Christian metal charts.
So this is not going to be your extremes. This is not going to be your. This is more my categories.
They're on a major label. Yeah.
So this is a song called "I'm So Sick."
Is it a new one or from?
This is an old track.
Old track, old classic.
Going back old school. So let's do. This is Flyleaf and "I'm So Sick." Let's do it.
Go.
I will break into thoughts with what's written on my heart. I will break. I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness. I'm so sick. I'm so sick. If you want more of this, we can push out, sell out, die out. So you'll shut up and stay sleeping with my screaming in your itching ears. I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness. I'm so sick. I'm so sick. Yes, I'm screaming at you're heading to it now. Yes, I'm screaming at you. Tremble at this sound. You sink into my clothes. This invasion makes me feel worthless, hopeless, sick. I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness. I'm so sick. I'm so sick, infected with where I live. Let me live without this empty bliss, selfishness.
They've used that radio effect for the screaming, you know that?
Okay, there we go. Flyleaf and "I'm So Sick." Andy,
Yes! Come on, Andy. Don't make it personal.
music that he really doesn't like.
It's
Yeah.
all right. It's a heavier version of Paramore, which I only know from the MTV videos. Vocally, I wouldn't be able to tell them two girls apart, to be honest. The main part of the vocals, anyway. There's a couple of lines.
Was it Lacey and Haley? The two vocals?
Yeah. There's a couple of lines where she goes quite aggressive, which sounded good, but I didn't like that sort of whiny, vulnerable little girl vocals at the beginning. The best part for me was the very opening few seconds with that really heavy bass on its own. But other than that, it's just kind of like a Paramore metalcore, sort of blend. No, is it metalcore?
Post new metal, I think.
Yeah,
It's
new metal.
It's post
new metal.
So, yeah.
because you said, Dave, it's a classic one from back in the day. I don't know what time it's actually from, but honestly, it's a band I've never heard of. If they were competing with Paramore, as you said in the intro, and you know, but I think Kirk's found out that sold a platinum selling album. I've never actually heard of the name. I mean, I think she looks familiar. Perhaps she was like bandied about as one of them, because they did back in the day, sort of objectifying female singers in metal bands. But it was alright. You know,
that's alright.
It must be something about it if they sold 1 million copies, but it's not. You know, never my thing. Certainly not now, and it certainly wasn't at the time it came out.
Okay.
And you know.
You can stop speaking now. You're okay. You can shut up.
I've done my bit.
Just there's that hole. I'm just going to keep going.
I'm not digging myself out. I'm just saying, like we've said on many times, it's really hard. It's really hard to analyse and give an opinion on something that you don't actually like and you're not going to listen to.
Who's that? Is that you or me?
Oh, is it me?
Yeah, it's probably your mum.
Oh, it's my mate Eric.
Hello, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
So with this, I know why it passed me by. I'd stopped listening to heavy music for a while in 2005. So those are my undergrad days.
Is it Depeche Mode at this point?
Yeah, it was. It was just Depeche Mode, The Cure, and Kate Bush, and a bit of dark wave music.
And now Lorna Shore.
So I'm surprised. So this sold 1 million records. It's a self-titled 2005 album. My thoughts on the song now, if that came out, you'd be like, oh, this is a bit sedate. For its time, I quite like that. I've never liked Paramore. These don't sound like Paramore because there's no punk or pop punk elements in the music.
Only vocally, I made the comparison.
Yeah, Lacey, she's called, isn't she? Lacey Moser. So I think we have got to say, though, in heavy guitar music, female vocals have improved a lot, haven't they? Other than Angela Gossell, no one was doing harsh vocals in heavy guitar music, were they? So this is of its time.
It's just not.
Yeah, I mean Morgan Lander from Kitty, perhaps.
Tarry B.
Would a band like that get signed now? They probably would, because here, I've noticed that they identify as a Christian band, and there are Christian charts, aren't there, in the United States, and it can be a big seller for you. That would no doubt put you off, because you're thinking, why do you need a version of the charts, you know, for a monotheistic religion? This is track number 1 on their album. I like the bass riff. We were saying it's got a bit of Helmet in there, Deftones, Tool, but it's a sanitized version, isn't it, for radio? And that chorus is boring as shit when you just downstrumming distorted chords. Come on, you need to be more inventive than that.
It's focusing on the vocals. Like,
yeah,
that's what
exactly.
It's being a backdrop for the vocals, and we've said that before in bands before.
Yeah.
Where it's like, if you put too much technicality over the top of it, you drown out the vocals.
Do you know how I think it started doing that and it put me off? Korn. They started doing chords where it's just, okay, ringing fifth chords. Jonathan Davis can write a good chorus. And you'd have nothing going on musically. And that infected a lot of the bands. Like you say, it's a backdrop. We know why they're doing it. And Evanescence, that's why I never listened to them. The guitars were not an afterthought, they were just always in the background. So if that came out now, I don't think you'd get much traction, but for its time I can see why there was great appeal. It's on that cusp of when we're moving into the digital age, not quite the streaming age, and MTV2 made or break.
We were 8 years away from streaming at this point.
So it made or break, make you or break you, wouldn't it? MTV2 and Kerrang magazine and Metal Hammer getting on radio. Now, if that came out, it wouldn't get my attention.
Okay, so when this came out back in 2005, I had no interest in Flyleaf whatsoever. It came out and I was like, this isn't for me at all. Wasn't aggressive enough. It had aggression in it, but I just didn't like the clean vocals. It wasn't the sort of thing I would listen to. Wasn't into Paramore in the slightest. Weirdly now, I do listen to Paramore. And I do listen to Flyleaf. So what has changed in my opinion is I'm more key on melody and tonality. So we did the video before this, or one of the videos before this, Necro Wretch, has got no appeal to me. There is nothing about it that I think is worth listening to. For here, I've got melody. I completely understand what you're saying about like simplistic chord structures, but I think it's in the service of the song. Yeah. I think if you put too much technicality into the top of that, it would take away from the vocal delivery, and I think the vocal delivery is key. I don't know if I'd listen to 8 songs on an album that sounded like that. I'd want to see if some there's a lot of formulaic in it. And as you said, if it came out, this came out today, everyone would be referencing, going, it sounds like something from the early 2000s. Because when this came out in the early 2000s, everyone's comparing it, going, hang on, clean female vocalist. It's like Kate Bush joined a new metal band. It's basically, it wasn't heard of before then. Because the female bands that you've talked about before then, you're talking about...
You had like Human... Do you remember that
Vixen, Doro,
do you remember that
Warlock,
band? There was a new metal band, Human Waste Project, and then you had Terry B and...
So Terry B, and I mean a bit later on from after this, you've got OTEP was kicking off as well. So that's when we had some of these great transitional periods for female vocalists getting into the metal scene. Because prior to that, if you're talking like new metal era, you're like, it's suddenly like up until what, early 2000s, 2001, 2002.
It's a sausage
fest. It's new metal and it's all blokes. There was no space in the metal scene for women at this point, unless you were classic metal. And classic metal, even those classic metal bands, female fronted, were put into the wasteland.
Do you remember that band from Northampton, Defenestration?
No.
English band, 2001. They were like
actually,
raging speed with a bit.
I've got to say, hang on. There was a place for women in new metal as long as you played bass.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
If you're a female bass player, every female bass player, like, oh, you're in Cold Chamber,
yeah,
like, whack you in there.
White Zombie.
Yeah.
Kill White Zombie.
Smashing
Kill to
Pumpkins
this.
do that as well. They prefer
every single female bass player was in. That was the thing. If you were a metal band in the late 90s and early 2000s, you needed to find a female bass player.
Joe Veg, Bolt
Thrower. Yeah, she was the outlier.
There's the thing, but you couldn't become a vocalist. There wasn't any room for it. And now suddenly we had all these bands like Paramore and so forth coming through, and Evanescence, and suddenly everyone wanted in the early 2000s a female fronted band. That was your thing. If you were a metal band, you got to get a female singer. That's your next breakthrough. So suddenly we got saturated by that, and there was a whole phase, and then it became cliche to have a female fronted. Then because the next big change was metalcore, where you had male vocalists and your clean vocals were done by your guitarist.
Yeah.
And that became a cliche, and that's when everyone was throwing their guitars around their necks and doing the windmill
crabcore.
But there was these cliches that came out, so it's interesting to say that if it came out now, people would listen to it. I think if it came out now, people would just refer it back to that time when it was in fashion. And we know emo bands are blowing back up again. We know that with bands like
My Chemical
Romance, didn't they? All coming back in at 30 Seconds to Mars ago, where they were back down to smaller arena sizes. They're back up to headlining big festivals again. And even that's an album like the 30 Seconds to Mars album I've just started listening to again, because I had never gave it a time of day. It's slowly growing, slowly. It's taking its time, but I appreciate what we do. I don't think we want them to go. I wouldn't want her to go any heavier. I was surprised when I first heard it when she did that growl, that will break. I was like, when's that going to come back in again? That's great, I love that. It doesn't, which is a shame. And she doesn't do it very often or anything else, but I enjoy it. I think it has its places. But it's such a funny thing to see that you've got no time for that, and I've got absolutely no time for Necro Wretch.
It's a food analogy again.
Should we all do a food? What meal would that be?
So for me, well, it depends. It's got to be something he doesn't like. So that was a lovely Chinese sweet
beef and black bean sauce.
But it's whatever he doesn't like, basically.
What was that?
Shepherd's pie.
Shepherd's pie.
Bland as fuck.
No, not the ones I made.
A bit of Worcester sauce in that. Pucker.
To me,
it's a shepherd's pie with some Worcester sauce. It's not. It wasn't unpalatable. It was something I'd never choose.
Yeah, if
eat.
Someone puts it in front of you, you'll eat it.
Yeah.
You're not. If someone goes, we're having shepherd's pie, you're like, okay.
Something different.
I'll have a slice of Necro Wedge, please.
That's when you get your Necro Wedge. That's your cake. You put that in the fridge for a bit later on. Have that. That's your Necro Wedge.
I think that's a homemade soup. You enjoy cooking it more than you do enjoy eating it.
So you better to play that, man, rather than to listen to it.
I think that's what I'm saying.
There we go. Anyway, that is Flyleaf, and I'm so sick. If you enjoyed our video today, please do like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on another video sometime very soon. Take care.